In February, there were 4 episodes of the TrueNAS podcast and 1 guest appearance of Chris on the Craft Computing livestream hosted by Jeff. This breakdown will cover episodes 52 through 55, as well as the livestream over Craft Computing. The episodes and livestream will be timestamped and linked in the video description below. I'm your host, Evan, and this is the news from February 2026. In episode 52, the big announcement is TrueNAS 26. They're moving to an annual release cycle. No more monthly point releases, no more fish code names. It's just TrueNAS 26. You'll still get the feature update packs in 0.1 and 0.2 releases, but each one will be purpose-built and targeted around a specific feature rather than a general grab bag of changes. A huge benefit here is much longer beta and RC cycles. The biggest pain point with the 6-month cadence was pushing a beta and then having to push an RC just 4 weeks later, leaving almost no time for community testing and feedback. They also dropped a hint that TrueNAS 26 is expected to become their first long-term support version, which will primarily be an enterprise offering, but they're looking at potentially making it available through TrueNAS Connect as well. A viewer asked why TrueNAS uses its own version numbering for apps instead of just matching the upstream Docker release numbers. For versioning, there are actually 2 things being versioned independently. The first is the actual Docker container, and that's the thing that's maintained by the third-party developer, and the second is the TrueNAS app framework infrastructure wrapped around the container. This includes things like the Docker Compose configuration, the UI options, and any exposed flags or settings. If TrueNAS wants to expose a new toggle or configuration option for an app without a separate version track, they'd have to wait for the upstream developer to push a new container release before they can ship a UI change. In episode 53, the Chris's gave us a hands-on preview of the alert system overhaul landing in TrueNAS 26. Managing the alert panel now tells you not just what the alert is, but what it means and why you should care. Even better, it gives you direct buttons and links to navigate to the exact page in the UI where you need to go to fix the problem. They're also adding alert badges directly into the sidebar navigation. When you log in, your eye is immediately drawn to the red exclamation mark or yellow warning triangle on the relevant section. Alerts are also dismissible now with the ability to reopen them individually or as a batch if you accidentally click one away. Moving on to episode 54, the Chris's cover the .2 release notes and talk about the new MCP server for LLMs. The ZFS pool imports got faster. They added the ability to limit the time async destroy operations can run per transaction group. So if you deleted a huge amount of data and your system was sluggish afterwards, that's because ZFS was busy cleaning up in the background. Now partitions the work into smaller chunks. Your free space might take a bit longer to show up, but your system stays responsive. Background CPU usage for apps was optimized. If you run a lot of containers, you might see lower idle CPU because they reduced repeated container inspection operations that were holding global locks. The dashboard widget bug where secondary storage pools showed unknown for used in free space is now fixed. There were a ton of updates and I'm not going to read them all. Go check out the release notes linked in the video description below to read them all for yourself. The TrueNAS team released a research preview of an MCP tool, that's Model Context Protocol, that lets you manage your TrueNAS system using natural language through any LLM that supports MCP. This is not an official product release. It's a research preview, so do not use it on production systems. The way it works is that the MCP tool sits on your local desktop or laptop. It acts as a bridge between your LLM and your TrueNAS system's API. When the LLM starts up, it queries the MCP tool to learn what functions are available, and then it can call those functions based on your natural language prompts. So you can say things like, check my fleet of systems for health issues, and it queries the APIs across all of your TrueNAS boxes and gives you a summary. They even added support for deploying applications through the MCP. This only applies for apps in the TrueNAS catalog. For clarification, this is not giving the LLM SSH access or root credentials. The MCP defines a specific set of tool calls, and right now, no destructive capabilities are exposed. The LLM cannot delete datasets, delete pools, or do anything destructive. It can create, manage, and start and stop things. The MCP tool is open sourced on the lab's GitHub page. The Chris's have asked for feedback, so if you feel comfortable running this tool against your development box, not your production server, jump on the TrueNAS Forums, which I'll link in the video description below, to share your experience. In episode 55, the Chris's start with the .1 hotfix. There's a fix for the NIC bonding issues, because some users reported that the .2 upgrade broke their NIC team pretty much immediately and they had to revert. Second, they patched some SMB validation errors related to legacy shares. And third, there's an NFS version 4 fix related to how change ID values are counted. This was actually supposed to ship in the .2 release, but got held up by a build issue. The big news is that smart changes are coming to TrueNAS 26. They acknowledge that this has been a controversial topic in the community since the changes made in 25.10, and they want people to know that they're working on it. They're planning to add better visibility and light command and control of Smart into the TrueNAS 26 release. They didn't go into all the details, but the goal is to give the Homelab community back the ability to run short and long tests and get the comfort that comes with being able to monitor your drives directly. They also mentioned that they may be adding smart capabilities into the experimental MCP connector they announced last week. There is also now an official Proxmox plugin for TrueNAS. The plugin is essentially an API wrapper that translates Proxmox storage provisioning calls into the TrueNAS API calls. Previously, Proxmox built-in ZFS over iSCSI support didn't work well with TrueNAS because it relied on an iSCSI target implementation that TrueNAS didn't use. Proxmox didn't know how to communicate with TrueNAS or provision through the TrueNAS API, and this plugin bridges that gap. It's ready for community testing now, and they're working with Proxmox to validate it for enterprise use as well, including testing RDMA functionality and HA failover. In terms of the TrueNAS apps catalog, TrueNAS has started adding network updates to the app's infrastructure. The key change is that apps in the catalog now have awareness of Docker internal networking. That means if you created Docker networks via the CLI or through tools like Dockage, you can now deploy TrueNAS catalog apps and select which of those networks to bind to. This is great for advanced setups where you want to isolate certain apps or restrict which containers can talk to each other. They're rolling this out in stages, about a dozen apps at a time, so there's going to be a lot of churn in the catalog for a while. They've also improved how updates are labeled in the nightlies. There's now a distinction between a revision available and a new version available. A revision means the app version hasn't changed, but there's an infrastructure update. A version update means the upstream app itself has a new release. Lastly, Chris Peredun, also known as the Honey Badger from the TrueNAS Forums, was a co-host with Jeff from Craft Computing on one of his latest Talking Heads episodes. In this Talking Heads episode, they covered lots of things. I'm only going to be covering the highlights from the TrueNAS parts of it. Regarding the Kubernetes to Docker transition, TrueNAS Scale originally planned to use Kubernetes with GlusterFS for a scale-out hyper-converged cluster. When GlusterFS was deprecated and iXsystems couldn't take on maintaining it, the Kubernetes layer became excessively complex for a single node use, so they migrated to Docker. Lastly, network mode for Docker apps. Users want the ability to route Docker app traffic through VPN containers like WireGuard. This requires app startup ordering and dependency management that wasn't originally designed into TrueNAS. Chris committed to taking this feature request back to engineering, noting that it's come up repeatedly. If you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already to keep up with the latest news. If you want to see content YouTube won't let us show you about media management, head over to Patreon. There's a link in the video description below. Join us over on the Servers at Home Discord. There's a link in the video description below. Let me know in the comments if you're excited about the move to annual releases for TrueNAS 26 and what you think of the MCP server. Thanks for watching, everybody, and as always, stay curious.